Hello, everyone. I'm John O'Loughlin. Welcome to McDuff Lives. And boy, after 3 weeks, Marcia and I got a lot to talk about, plus my trip to Dallas with some photos. So let's. All right. Once again, I'm John O'Loughlin. Welcome to McDuff Lives, and it's our Friday live chat with Marcia. So hello, Marcia. Welcome back.
Thank you. Welcome back to you too. It's good to be here.
Yeah. Well, I haven't done so much away from home in 1 month for years, and I had two wonderful experiences this month. So we'll be talking about some of that. And, we're going to continue with Undo the Coup on Monday. So there'll be new material there to talk about how we, once again, have got to undo the coup if we don't figure out the JFK assassination and the cover up.
Yeah, well, you'll have lots of opportunity to talk about that after your trip to Dallas, which we're going to hear a lot more about today. But I'm just so impressed with all of your Undo the Coup content and connections that you are starting to amass. So I think this is going to be very interesting.
Well, I've got a lot of more material to share. So
Yep.
Anyway, that'll be Monday. But today is today, and Eden's Vision says Happy Turkey Day. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone and everybody. And
we also have Polly here saying greetings from Amsterdam, the Netherlands. Greetings, Polly.
And I also want to mention that due to the kindness of the YouTube gods, whoever they are, and, all hail, we now have McDuff Lives 1 back broadcasting after a 3-year trip to YouTube jail.
Wow. So welcome, McDuff Lives 1 viewers who are joining us after McDuff Lives 1 got sprung from jail.
Yes, but the big story is still unresolved, and that is the real channel, McDuff, Kennedy's Man to Smash the CIA, is still in YouTube jail. I filed the appeal at least 2 weeks ago, and while they gave me the McDuff Lives 1 back, they're still sitting on, the jury's still out as to whether I get my primary first channel with almost 12,000 subscribers and 903 videos. I want it back.
Okay, now let me ask you this question. If somebody had, say you were in charge of YouTube.
Yeah.
And somebody had a YouTube channel named Smash McDuff, would you let them go on?
Well, McDuff is a person, whereas the CIA is an entity.
Oh, but entities are people too.
Oh, that's right. The Supreme Court has already told us that entities, they have feelings, and emotions, and they need to have a way to express themselves.
It's that Smash the CIA thing that has them thinking.
You think
twice.
That's it?
I do actually.
Well, I can't do anything about it because I don't have access to the channel to change the name.
Right. But I really do. I really do think that, and I don't think that that's because YouTube is so whatever YouTube is. I think it's because YouTube is controlled by the CIA.
Okay. Well, I think basically everything is, but
right.
Try and convince the rest of the country of that.
Why is that such a hard concept?
Well, it's like, when I got home from Dallas on Monday night, and it might have been Tuesday night, turned on the television, and there was ABC News, and they had this, silver-haired, gray, templed expert, with a nice blue suit on, and he was just kind of leaning back and saying, it was a typical lone nut shooter, and just goes on and on about how it was just, I couldn't watch it. After what I saw this weekend, the idea that it was a typical lone nut shooter is just beyond preposterous. It's revolting when you consider the damage that's been done to our country and our lives
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
our future.
Well, before we go there, Banjo Loon One says good morning. Good morning, Banjo Loon One. Thank you for being here.
Banjo. Yeah, love me some banjo music. I do.
I was watching. Oh, Steve Martin. Yeah, some video going around of Steve Martin playing the banjo. Amazing that he's still so good. You would think, with all he has going on, that would have fallen by the wayside. But I have to say, I've always had a little bit of a crush on Steve Martin.
Oh, yeah. Well, funny guy, very, very funny guy. One of my favorite movies was the one when he's burning the candle at both ends. He's a lawyer in the daytime, and it has Lily Tomlin in it, and then he plays music at night, and this crazy guy comes along with one of those Tibetan bowls that just.
Was that the one where Lily Tomlin takes over his body?
Yeah.
All of Me.
All of Me. That was that was one of my favorites.
Yeah. Well, Polly says all these conspiracies, YouTube wants to protect us citizens. The truth, I guess is what you mean there, is unbearable. Yeah, well, they sure don't want us to know the truth.
But you know what? The more I study this, the more I do believe that is their ultimate excuse, is you can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth. If we told you all the stuff that we know, you would tear your hair out. You'd go running down the street like a maniac. You would lose your sense of of reality, and it would be so horrible that we just can't do it to you. So
thank you, Aaron Sorkin, for that. You can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have person of interest 8731 checking in from South Africa. Wow.
Hello, South Africa.
The other side of the world. Welcome so much. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for letting us know you're here.
Yeah, I think this is our first, at least that we know of a viewer from South Africa. So double welcome to you.
Yeah, I just read a book about an animal preserve in South Africa.
Well, with nothing further to do you want to go ahead into the photos?
Yes. Tell us about your trip to Dallas.
Well, I'm going to be sharing, more details of it as time goes on. I am still kind of organizing what I want to show, but we just give you a little taste from the photos today.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much content, and so much of it I think is going to be, coming up in your Undo the Coup presentations that you're going to be doing moving forward. But yeah, the trip itself, it sounds so interesting.
All right. So this is not Dallas. This is Beach Haven, New Jersey, at the Surflight Theater, where I was performing as Lieutenant Zuniga in the opera Carmen, with this very, very lovely and excellent singer playing Michaela. And so just a still from that for you, because that's what I did the weekend before last. And so now let's move forward. That's my plane ticket. That's me in the airport. This is the first speaker. His name is Casey Quinlan. And if you see in front of the screen there is a styrofoam mannequin. And
wait, I'm going to stop you, because before you get into that, why don't you just give a general overview of the fact of what this was that you went to in Dallas?
This was the JFK Historical Group annual JFK conference at the DoubleTree Hotel in Dallas, Texas, from November 20th to 23rd. It was titled History Declassified: Pursuing Truth and Justice in the Murder of President John F. Kennedy. So, and so there must have been 20 speakers at this. And this gentleman, Casey Quinlan, has done a tremendous amount of work analyzing the trajectory of bullets that must have happened due to the way the wounds are and where the shooters may have been. So that's one of the many aspects of the murder that people have focused on. And this is what Casey Quinlan is doing. Other people are doing other different parts of it, and it, sometimes they disagree. There's often people that'll say, you know, it was this person, no, it was that person, but then they both know that there's no reason to argue about it. We're just going to keep on working on it and uncovering more and more and more, and you know, the truth will out at some point.
So how many, the event was 3 days?
Yeah, it started on Thursday, November 20th at 9 a.m. and it went over into Sunday. Sunday morning, we had a couple of really interesting presentations. One from Judith Ferry Baker, and the other from a man named Larry Rivera, who is bilingual Spanish and has studied the Cuban aspect of the Bay of Pigs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the people involved there. And it was just wonderful to hear such an amazing, detailed, and, you know, I came away from that thinking, you know, the guys that get involved in these things, you know, like in Cuba, they are living under a repressive regime, whether it's Batista or Castro. It's the same problem. They're not living freely, and they're controlled, and they're not able to make any money. And so they want to do something for their people. It's just like the Irish, you know, in the various Irish risings, that these are poor people who are desperate, but just can't stand the idea of their children and their grandchildren living under this hell. And so these people get organized, and they're not very well educated. They don't know how to get a hold of things like machine guns and stuff. And so who comes along to help them out? You know, the spooks, the CIA, the people that want to then, you know, okay, here, we'll give you the arms, but then they want to control the thing. And that's where people get trapped. And they got trapped under Batista, and they got trapped under Castro. And, you know, that idea that stuck with me is that these people are good-hearted people who just can't stand it anymore, and they'll give up their life freely just so that there's some hope for the next generation in their country.
Wow. So there were a lot of speakers and a lot of different angles on this whole thing.
And yeah, indeed, a lot of speakers. Let's see.
What are you looking for?
I am technically incompetent, so I just need a second.
Well, here, while you do that, I will say good morning to Ms. Hunt HV8DI. Have a tea. Good morning. Can I? All right. Now we're switched. Okay. And then person of interest says, when we know what happened to JFK, we'll know what happened to CK. Nobody buys the story we are given. How long? Oh, Lord.
Charlie Kirk.
Yep, Charlie Kirk.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is, you know, I've been, ever since the Butler, Pennsylvania shooting, I've just kind of thrown up my hands and said, you know, that they're going to hide this stuff, but both parties have an interest in keeping it hidden for some reason. I don't know why, but I think it has a lot to do with blackmail, Israel, British intelligence, Mossad, and all kinds of scary things.
Well, it has a lot to do with what Harley was talking about on Tuesday. It has to do with controlling the economy. And if you have somebody who is preventing you from controlling the economy or from exposing your work to control the economy, who is trying to expose it, you got to get rid of that person.
It's just an example of the crowd shot. This is about a quarter of the room, so I'd say there was 200 people there approximately.
Wow.
Just a picture I took because I liked that image. There is Casey Quinlan discussing. I guess I got a close up. I haven't really gone through these guys, so
Yeah, just an idea of sort of what went on during the event.
yeah, this is somebody playing a old film, and you can see that's the grassy knoll and the car going by. And I think in that photo there is a hint, if not actual proof, of a shooter over the picket fence that you can see in the upper left. Can't quite see what that is. The President's Foreign Intelligence Advisory Board document release. This is Mr. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have his name. The gentleman is a lawyer in New York City who is working as hard as he can to expose the rest of the JFK documents. And it turns out that that JFK's Presidential Foreign Intelligence Advisory Board has a lot of documents of interest that are now coming out.
Interesting. Yeah. Again, you must have seen plenty of these PowerPoint presentations.
That's the banner for the conference. I think they did a great job putting that together.
Yeah.
A little closer up of poor John F. Kennedy with his trajectories. And of course, all of this is controversial. People will argue this way or that way, but this is...
Now, how many of these represent one bullet?
Right. And if you even try to answer that one without, stuffing into questions. So you'd actually have to have Casey Quinlan explain it to you.
Yes.
This is a new friend of mine. His name is Robert Morrow, and Robert Morrow is a Texan from Austin, Texas. He's dabbled in politics and has a real Texan personality, one of those guys that'll say whatever he wants to, whenever he wants to. And just sometimes the media can punish him for that. But he's a gregarious man who has been a driving force in this historical group for decades. And his generosity took me out to a dinner on
how nice.
Yeah, on Saturday night. We went out to a very special, famous restaurant called Campese's. And Campese's is the restaurant where Jack Ruby hung out and supposedly had dinner there the night before he killed Lee Harvey Oswald.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And so Mr. Morrow took me and 5 other people over to the restaurant. And the inside of the restaurant is like, your basic Godfather movie set, it's like, red lights and all kinds of framed photos of people all over the walls and just, and the waiter, of course, is Italian. And so you have that complete atmosphere right there. It's called the Egyptian restaurant, and that's Campese's Egyptian is what they call it. And there's a big sign in front that says the Egyptian. And the story behind it was that when Campese bought it, he didn't have enough money to buy a new sign, so he just kept on calling it the Egyptian, and so that's why it's yeah.
That was long before.
Yeah, that's right. So that was fun. Oh, same picture. This is the beginning of the videotape that I was taken on a private tour to go through. This is going on in the we're entering that white monument. There is a JFK monument, and we are entering underneath the railroad bridge, the famous railroad bridge. So we're going towards Dealey Plaza, which is right in front of us there. I'll play the whole video for you as soon as I time for it on the show. let's see, what is it? 6 minutes long. I think that's might be too long for now. What do you think?
This is the video that you posted on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good video. I don't know. I have mixed feelings here. It's 6 minutes long, but I learned from it because you're in the car and the gentleman in the car is giving you a lot of information about what's what and that whole layout of the land. You did post it on social media, so it is there. It's an interesting video. You could play it, but or you'll have plenty of opportunities in the future too.
Now I've lost control of it. Huh.
Maybe if you go to the window itself.
Yeah, I can't find it, honey.
Okay.
I apologize, guys. I just not too good at this.
May I? Okay.
Had to go start over. Stop screen. Share screen. Go to window. Okay. Now. Just more video for from the ride now. This is the front steps of the book depository, and took this because that's right up here where I'm putting my cursor is where Lee Harvey Oswald is supposed to have been photographed. He's a grainy photograph, but everybody who sees it is really with AI now. That was one of the speakers was saying, this is becoming more and more clear that it is Lee Harvey Oswald standing there when that photo was taken, which means he couldn't have been the shooter.
Wouldn't that be amazing to actually have that kind of proof?
Yeah, and with AI analyzing these photos now, it's getting possible. Yeah, that's this wider scene there. This is my main video from the event. It's 33 minutes long, but you can see I'm starting to walk down the hill here, and on the right is people gathering on the grassy knoll, and they're gathering around the speaker's platform up there.
Why don't you explain what the event is?
Well, the event is the memorial service that the JFK Historical Group itself has put together and gotten a permit for. So they got a permit from the city to go there and do this. And the centerpiece of it is at whatever time it was, 12-something p.m., when he was shot, they have a moment of silence. And 3 or 4 speakers also spoke and shared some very worthwhile words, and they sang Amazing Grace.
Oh, wow.
But they had an older military bugler there, a gentleman dressed in his military outfit, with the cords and the shoulder thing and everything. And he had this beautiful silver bugle. And when he played taps, man, that hit you right in the heart.
Oh, wow. Is that on the video?
No.
Okay.
I don't know. It might be. I don't think so, though.
Wow.
So
that must have been a very, very special moment.
Yeah, I'll just say one other thing that was very interesting was that just as Judith Vary Baker was speaking, all of a sudden, these really loud cars started driving right down the path, right down the street where he was killed. And it was a whole parade of them. There must have been 20 or 30 of them, and they were all Lincoln Town cars. And they had people sitting up with them, waving like politicians and all, like they had gotten a permit to do a Lincoln Town car, one of those
parade.
Old car rallies.
Yeah.
At the same damn time.
Wow.
And they did it, and it was loud and obnoxious. And Judith Berry Baker was saying, "See, I knew something would happen. I knew
Now,
they'd
when
do
you say
something."
loud, what was the source of the noise?
The rumble of the engines.
Okay.
And they would, spin them up and make them go, have that big revved up sound, and
Okay.
it was awful. It was a terrible thing to do, and it just shows the contempt that some people have for those of us that are humbly trying to find the truth.
Yeah. Contempt. That's a very good word.
There's my good new good friend Jimmy Langkop, who took me on the vehicle tour that is on the video. Very interesting. Now we're all standing right there on the grassy knoll. Okay, that's the speaker's dais up there, and you can. I recorded some of the speaking, but we're not going to play that right now. See the X? That's where the fatal shot hit him, and people would throw flowers on it, and etc. Yeah, that's Jimmy explaining. And he's showing up where he proposes that there were other shooters, and this is one of the places.
That's the building that's across the street from the book depository, yes?
Yeah, on the left,
Yep.
you can see the slim part of the
Okay, that's what I
of
thought.
the book depository. So the parade would have come from the right of the screen and turned left here toward the camera. And here I just want to make this point, because I think it's just one of the most important things I took away from the conference is we're looking up from the street at the 6th floor of the book depository, where supposedly Lee Harvey Oswald fired his
And it's the next to the top floor. It's not the top floor. It's the one below, all the way to the right. Yes.
Right. So this is where Oswald is supposed to have fired, the 3 shots at Kennedy and the magic bullet, including the magic bullet. Well, the problem is that this is a very sharp, steep angle.
Yes.
And the car is moving. Whereas if he's sitting up there in the book depository before the car makes the turn, then he's got a direct shot right at him. And the car keeps getting closer and closer and closer to the shooter. So he should, if he was up there and wanted to kill Kennedy, his best bet was to shoot before the car turned left, because now he's got to shoot down as well as forward and keep moving the gun. I mean, the car is basically stable as it's driving towards him, but now it's going past him at whatever, 20 or 30 miles an hour. It's an impossible shot. And lots of people have tried to reduplicate it, and they can't do it. And unless you're actually there, but I think this picture helps. Unless you're actually there, you don't get the impression what the locals say. The locals will say, no, that just couldn't have happened. And as far as going up there myself, most of the people said, oh, don't even do it. It's just the official narrative. They're just going to try to keep drumming the official narrative at you. And it's not, and everything's been moved, like, the place where the boxes were supposedly, when, they weren't there, and lots of details that the locals know. But even from this photograph, I think it's a pretty good case that no, that's not where you shoot to kill somebody.
Razvedka says, nobody fired from up there, John. Just didn't happen. Exactly. We know that, but yet they keep trying to suggest it.
Yeah. And there's another little bit of video, which I'm going to edit them down so that we don't have to play them all at once. This pedestal here is where Zapruder was when he shot the video. And this is, I think this is the second spot, because there's 2 spots marked, one for the first shot and then the second for the kill shot. And I think actually this must be the kill shot, and the first was the the one that supposedly hit him in the neck, if that's correct. Just looking back from across the street at the same scene. One of many memorials. People bring flowers every year. I didn't know that, or I'd have brought some. But a lot of people over there just putting flowers on the road or on the memorials, and very solemn, and but also a very friendly and warm group of people. Oh, this picture shows you the picket fence. It used to be a picket fence. This is a replacement, but it's the same idea, and you can see in the old photos that's it. And just above that red sign is where someone supposedly fired from behind that picket fence.
You know what? It's probably too late, but Razvedka does say Rumble didn't pick up the stream, ? And I'm looking up there and I don't see Rumble as part of the stream. So we may not be on Rumble today, but
oh no.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what that means, but it sounds like it. So sorry, guys. Anyway, go on. We Are you trying to fix that?
Yeah, I was trying to fix that.
Okay. Thank you, Razvedka, for letting us know. Oh,
wow,
yeah.
our Rumble viewers, we apologize. Technically, the Rumble channel didn't get connected, and we are. I'm embarrassed that didn't happen, but that's what happened this morning. We've been broadcasting since 11 a.m. on our 3 YouTube channels, on X and on Facebook. So if you want to catch the replay, that would be where to go. Thanks for Razvedka for alerting us that the Rumble didn't pick up the stream. So we got you now, and we've got almost a half hour left in the show. So great.
All right. And so just, if I may, for those of you who might be on Rumble, John is talking about his trip to Dallas to the JFK Historical Annual Convention and showing some photos that he took at that event.
And so, yeah, and I was just talking about this fence here is a replacement of the picket fence from which someone is alleged to have fired a shot at Kennedy. Just more of the same. Looking from behind the fence, looking over the fence into the parking lot where things happen, and you can see the railroad track back there where the 3 tramps went and hid in a railroad car. And so that's the parking lot they ran through to get to the boxcar, or some people say a coal car, to hide while the investigation proceeded. All right, and pretty much the same. There's a control tower there from which one of the witnesses that was famously recorded early on after the event. That's where he was when he saw what he saw. So that probably has to do with the 3 tramps and what went on behind the picket fence. This is the famous railroad bridge, and in the far left of the bridge, underneath of that tree, the bridge actually extends around a corner there, and there's a little white spot of light just above my cursor, which allows a person to actually, if they wanted to poke a rifle through there, and that is one of the strong possibilities of where the kill shot came from.
And is this the underpass after he was shot? The motorcade goes under the underpass.
That's right, under the underpass, and down a couple miles away to Parkland Hospital. This is a good view. I'm up on the railroad bridge now, and so you can see that kind of triangle of land there is where a number of the witnesses were that are in the Zapruder film. Um, and the whole idea of, just to make this point again, that if they'd have gone down this straight street here, then it would have been a much safer route. But to have to come down here and make that sharp turn to get onto this curvy road going right in front of the book depository, it just wasn't a smart idea. They could have gotten there, because they're going to the World Trade Mart.
Mm-hmm.
So they could have gone down the main street instead of taking that diversion. That's one of the main issues that is discussed by people over and over again. And one of the things that makes logic, there's so much logic behind, hey, this was a setup.
Razvedka says, clear pics, good views. Nice.
Yeah, and this is a video, same spot. That's my friend Jimmy. And now this is the spot I just described.
Yes.
The angled corner of the railroad bridge balustrade there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see, you've got a see that car, you can even see a car coming down the road there, if you see my cursor there.
Well, and the trees would have been different 60 years ago, too.
Oh, that's true. But see, the point is, from here to that
Exactly.
front of that car, you're seeing the front of the car.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Just caught a little picture of the engine going by. There it is again. This is, I'll tell you why I took this picture. It's because of that triangular building on the back there, that obviously was built later, right?
Uh-huh.
Is it some type of memorial or something to just say, see what we did, because it's a pyramid. And well, we've talked a lot about pyramids.
Indeed.
On McDuff Lives.
Oh, good catch.
Yeah, I thought, geez, that's creepy to just, looking at this and say, it's like saying, we owned it. We did it.
Wow.
This is just the road that happens to be the way to Parkland Hospital, and that is the World Trade. It was the World Trade Mart. It's got a new facade, so it's not the same building. It's now called the World Trade Center, but that's the building. Just a photo of a picture that someone had that I'd never seen before. I think it's kind of really poignant.
Mm-hmm.
That's our hotel, the Doubletree by Hilton at Market Square in Dallas. There's my friend Chris Milligan. There's a better picture with him sort of smiling. Chris Milligan, the great publisher at Trine Day, and somebody I've been corresponding with. I actually interviewed him in 2019 on my show.
Wow.
Yeah, it's part of the lost videos.
Yeah.
But had a chance to chat with him a good deal over the weekend, and well, you can see he's still a hippie, and I identify with him on that level, as well as many others, because he's one of the most dedicated researchers that you could ever imagine. And there is, to wrap this up, that's my new good friend, MC Armstrong. MC Armstrong is an author, journalist, and college professor who befriended me on X about maybe 6 weeks ago, a month ago, 2 months ago. I sent him a copy of McDuff Lives, and he just been raving about it ever since. He said it's a great book. And so I thought, well, if he likes it, maybe some more people down at Dallas will like it. So he invited me to go down there, and I said, yeah, I will go. And it's so nice to just be able to contact, somebody that actually, Matt Armstrong is an authority on this stuff. and just have him say, John, your book is great. It adds a lot to our understanding. And the whole story of my dad's career, especially the saxa part, which
Oh, yeah.
you guys know about, but none of them knew about it. None of these people had ever dealt with the issue of where did President Kennedy want to place special ops when he took them away from the CIA? And the answer is Saxa.
Yeah. Yeah. You have a lot to share with those folks. And they're really smart folks who have been researching this for a very, very long time.
And let's get out of that and back to you and me.
There we are.
Oh, and let's make us the big head view. Uh-oh. Marcia, you're a little fuzzy.
Am I?
Yeah.
Well, that's funny because you were fuzzy when we started. You were fuzzy to me because I'm not fuzzy to me. So don't worry about it.
All right. I wish I could.
So big respect from the Highlands of Scotland. Peace, love, and light, says Stuart Brown. Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you very much, Stuart. All the best to all of our great Scottish friends.
My heritage.
Yeah, your heritage.
Yeah.
The Keiths, if you're from Scotland, the Keith family and the story of them back with the Marshalls and back into the 1200s, 1300s, and ancient, noble.
It's my understanding that my Keiths came from Scotland in the 18th century.
Mm-hmm.
They came over here to the New World. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've never been to Scotland. So hopefully, Stuart, I'll get to do that someday.
I keep telling you we're going to go to Scotland, but we haven't made it yet. But yeah, we will. We'll make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will also comment that the idea that I could actually just get on a plane and go to Dallas was something that I wouldn't have done 4 or 5 years ago. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't have done it 2 years ago because of the cancer that I have. I'm afraid that if there's any disease out there, whether it's COVID or the flu or anything else, that it'll assault my immune system and cause a relapse. And so I was scared to go anywhere. I skipped a lot of important events. I didn't do any singing. And so this is kind of like getting out of jail in a way. It's like, yeah, I can go to the airport. I can get on a plane. I can go, 1,000 miles away, get home, be perfectly healthy the whole time. And that's normal. That's what it used to be.
Right.
But we had 5 years taken out of our lives. And, that's another part of what I try to work on is the medical aspect of what the creeps behind the scenes are doing. Yeah. Stuart says, yeah, very old noble Scottish family, the Keiths.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Thank you, Stuart.
Uh-huh. Well, we are also in business on Fridays of talking about big news stories of the week. And you mentioned our talk Tuesday on McDuff Lives with Harley Schlanger of the LaRouche organization. And he was talking about Jeffrey Epstein. And we covered a couple of his, a 2-part article that he wrote in Executive Intelligence Review, which is their publication, about who was Jeffrey Epstein really, and to answer the question, where did he get his money? Because I think that's one of the things that people want to know is how could he buy, Epstein Island? How could he have all of this wealth?
Oh my gosh, the amount of money that this man had was just, it's shocking to me how much he had, not just the island, but then he had the home in Palm Beach. He had the very expensive home in New York City, a mansion in New York City. And of course, probably more. And then, when he was arrested, they found tons of money and diamonds and multiple passports, including some in another name, but with his picture. So he had a little stash that was that stashed away so that he could be ready to flee, which I guess he didn't get to in time.
I saw somebody posting some new information about Epstein and Bitcoin. That Epstein may have been one of the principals behind Bitcoin and trying to hide from it, of course. So that's a big story. I didn't invest in Bitcoin, but a lot of people did, and it's it's clearly a financial tool for manipulation, money laundering, arms transactions, just dirty money. You just throw it into the Bitcoin and watch it rise up, and until it doesn't.
Right, right. Well, and I think I was so glad that Harley asked this question, that Harley is focusing on this, because it's one of the things that I've wondered. I read the book by Virginia Giuffre about Epstein, which has just come out, and it's a heart-wrenching book, actually. It's actually very tastefully written. Of course, she worked with a co-author, but very tastefully written, because she doesn't go into any more detail than absolutely necessary. It's not anything that is exploitive in any way. And, and some of the details she does go into is more than I would want to know, but it's necessary to understand what was going on in this private world of Jeffrey Epstein's and Ghislaine Maxwell. Oh my God. The two of them. And, she describes them as not a couple, but two parts of an evil whole, AWHOLE, because just, yeah, their stuff was just unbelievable. Unbelievable. The kind of abuse and the way these girls and young women were used. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. But the whole time I'm thinking, where did this guy get his money? How did he become so incredibly wealthy? And I think that Harley's information is so important to understand that there are all of these handlers, all of these people behind the scenes who brought him into their world and allowed him to participate in some of these financial schemes, and as Harley calls them, economic resets, to be able to control the world economy, not just our economy, but the world economy, and profit from it, and profit in incredible ways. And Epstein became part of that. And then, Harley didn't go into it too much, but I do believe that he maintained his wealth and grew his wealth through blackmail, because then he created this scheme of bringing in these young women for his own pleasure, but then he also shared them with his very rich and powerful, and then turned around and blackmailed them all.
Evil is
Horribly
evil
behind
is the word for it, and
Yeah.
the abuse of young people, young women especially, is just so disgusting and horrible that most people would rather sweep it under the rug and not think of it. Yet it is part of the story, and I joined the cry to release all the Epstein materials right now, because we are not unable to handle it. We can deal with it. We as a nation are strong enough to understand and to deal with. And of course, people are going to be what I was going to say, lynched or otherwise. But I think people will respect the government if the government will start telling us the truth.
Imagine that says, there we go. One of the largest single assets in his estate was a stake in Peter Thiel's venture capital fund, Valor Ventures.
I want to go back to a comment from Corky, because I have a couple of thoughts to share on this. Corky, hello. Glad to have you once again. And my friend, you've been with me the whole ride.
Yes.
Yeah. So Corky, can we undo the coup already? How did the Dallas crowd react to that idea? Okay, now this is my idea. Undo the coup is my rallying cry to stop trying to figure out the minutiae of, which bullet and which gun and who, what shooter and where, how many guns and all. Let us all just focus instead on the cover up, because the cover up is the coup. If Lyndon Johnson pulled out a revolver and shot JFK in the head and killed him on national television, then he would not have ever been the president of the United States.
Of course not.
Of
Yeah.
course not. Well, that's basically what happened, except for it's all been hidden under layers. So I myself have been pursuing, of course, the CIA angle, the Alan Dulles and the various creepy things that he set in motion. But of course, he answers to the corporate clients of Sullivan and Cromwell, as we've studied, and those people are some of the wealthiest people in the world, and the ones that run the foundations, the Ford Foundation, the Carnegie Foundation, all of them. All of those people have been under my microscope for a number of years. I have on my shelf the book by Roger Stone. I think it's called The Man Who Killed Kennedy, and there's a big picture of LBJ on the cover. And it's been Stone's contention that it was LBJ all along. And I was pretty surprised that every person that ventured an opinion said it was LBJ. And I had never really studied it because I thought, well, that's Roger Stone. I don't really know if he's, legitimate or not. Whereas you have all of these academic people and people like James Douglas and all of the great writers that I have on my shelf over there in the McDuff Memorial Library. They're looking at it from a foreign policy angle, but LBJ is just an avaricious, narcissistic, murderous bully who pushed his way to the top by any means necessary. And that is the story that I think I'm going to be turning to as people like Matt Armstrong and many and a lot of the other people. I'll mention David Denton, who's also been at the conference and has been studying this for decades, are going to help me bring that in. Now, all of that is to say, I still believe that everybody is focused on their particular theory of who did it and not the cover up. And so that's what I think Undo the Coup is an effort to say, okay, you think it was LBJ, you think it was the CIA, you think it was the Russians, you think it was the Cubans, you think it was the mafia. Okay, that's great. But look what happened as a result of that conspiracy, whoever was involved, is that we have now an illegitimate president. Because Lyndon Johnson could never have honestly been the president if we had investigated the JFK killing when we should have. He couldn't have been the president. And they know that.
Well, and then I have to ask, if I could just jump in real quick. We couldn't have covered up the JFK killing if LBJ hadn't been the president.
Exactly.
Right.
And it is, the hand in the glove, the one hand washing the other. And that's what's gone on ever since then. And they have the strings of the media, and they've got all the power it takes to keep putting on that silver-haired Amanance grease to sit back and say, oh, yeah, a typical lone nut shooter, I'd say. Oh, yeah.
Oh, all those other people who have all this other evidence, they're just conspiracy theorists. And therefore, they don't count, because we all know that conspiracy theorists are just kooks who make up things, believe stuff.
I just want to imagine that up there, give him credit for, yes, that's it. Leslie Wexner and Leon Black. And you can read all about that in.
Okay, you're going to give us all whiplash going back and forth between content.
Oh, I just want to make that comment because we're running out of time.
I know.
So
this is back to the Epstein, of course.
This is Epstein, yeah. And imagine that you're right on the ball with that, I think.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. And and Harley talked about that. Guys, if you haven't read Harley's articles about this, it's absolutely brilliant. And the other thing I want to say is I love Harley's writing too. He is very good at expressing ideas. You looking through the comments, lots of interesting comments. I don't know where to go with them because we've been back and forth a bit.
Can I just post one?
Of course.
Because
it's your show.
Because this is my old friend Enkidu Gilgamesh. And he and I have been corresponding, were corresponding from about 2017 up to a couple of years ago. And our big topic was weather modification and the weaponization of weather and the monetization of streams of water in the atmosphere and all that very interesting stuff. So I just want to say thanks for checking in with us, Enkidu. And the killing of JFK was mainly an operation of Israel in cooperation with the CIA. Now there is that whole. I'm on board with that.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that it wasn't also Lyndon Johnson.
Well, and Matt, you and I listened to a webinar, and Matt was one of the speakers. You're Matt Armstrong, who you've mentioned. And, he makes a very important point that all of these different perspectives can coexist and can all be true. It wasn't, and I think that was part of what, when I read Regicide, part of what I saw is that there were a lot of different entities who were all part of this effort and who worked together to make it happen. And it is absolutely true. Who led the charge, I think, is part of the discussion.
It's an important question, but it is not the question that we need to unwrap.
Exactly.
We've got to undo the coup.
Right. Yeah. Well, there we go. Donald Piacic says it all ties together.
Marcia, I think we've gone over the noon hour already.
We have.
And it's great to be back here in
It is good to be back. I've missed our Fridays together doing this. So,
and I was so happy to add McDuff Lives 1 that I think I forgot to put the Rumble channel on this morning when I set up the show. So a deep apology to my Rumble followers. I love you all, and I won't ever do it again.
There you go.
So you can catch the part you didn't see on any of the 3 YouTube channels, on X and on Facebook. McDuff Lives.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
All righty. Thanks again, guys. Bye-bye.